So the next slide I had a problem with
Okay.
is slide 5. Um,
5. Okay. Yeah. Well,
you,
yeah. I guess if you embrace modal collapse,
yeah, and being very technical with words. Premise 1 says the universe is possibly created.
Mhm.
I think you mean epistemic possibility here. Like I can imagine
N-
the universe is
n-
created.
no, that would actually be metaphysic possibility. Yeah. So
Right.
this only works with metaphysical possibility. So whether or not we have good reasons to think or justified in believing the universe is or isn't created in the actual world, that's sort of set aside. We're just saying that it's possible for the universe that it's the sort of thing that was created. And again, this is going to be a modal intuition. It's a modal argument, so it's going to be based off of intuitions. And so, one of the reasons, and DGH, I believe, who's another person on our server, made the point, and I think he's quite right, that the way that we get to our modal intuitions is by knowing an object. We can sort of intuit what's possible for that object. So by knowing a car, I know that it's possible that a car can drive at 80 miles an hour. I know it's not possible that a car can drive at the speed of light, and so it's not possible for it. So that's sort of what that premise is relying on. Is by knowing the universe, we can know like, okay, it seems like it's possible that this is the sort of thing that was created rather than exist necessarily.
Okay. But I have to wonder if we put all the attributes you had for in slide 10, except necessity, of course, because we are going to go there. If you put all of the attributes in slide 5 at premise 1, I think we could just make the case that this being that we want to get at is also possibly created.
Yeah, if it's not necessary, well, then that would be that it's contingent, and so the contingency argument would say that if it's contingent, then there must be a necessary explanation for the existence of that being, and so we'd sort of just have kicked the can down the road, but we'd end up with the same sort of being down the road.
Right, but so if we assume the universe is necessary, then it's not possibly created, right?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, if you embrace modal collapse and say, yeah, that the actual world is the only possible world, and in the actual world the universe is not created, then it would follow that the universe is not possibly created.
Okay, okay,
So and again, if you're willing to bite the bullet and say that, sure. Again, I'm not trying to prove that like it couldn't possibly be the case, and maybe it's the period and like you said, the declarative form of the sentence. But maybe a better way of phrasing it to your ears might be, it's reasonable to think that the universe is possibly created. And so if it's reasonable to think that the universe is possibly created, then it's reasonable to think that the universe doesn't exist necessarily. Therefore, it's reasonable to think the universe does not exist necessarily, which is really all I'm trying to say.
okay, okay. Yeah, I still think that with enough work, you can still put like the being you want to get at, like I said, accept necessity in there and should still work, but then you are going just down the line of infinite regress, right?
Well, so yeah, again, you really couldn't get infinite regress. You have to have some sort of explanation, because that if an infinite regress is there, then you don't have any explanation for why the chain gets going. You have to have something to give existential inertia to the chain, and so you'd have to get some sort of stopping point, which will end up being a necessary being. And so, and at that point, I think Occam's razor would say like, why are we if we have to get to a necessary being anyway, then why are we putting all these extra links in the chain? We'd have, at least by my lights, it seems like we would need to have some reason to think that there's like the grounds for this universe, but then a grounds for that grounds. Like, why go that extra step? But sure, I mean, if you want to go that extra step, you certainly can. The argument from contingency still works, and it would just go until we get to the bottom step.
Okay. I think you also answered my problem with slide 7 then. That's
Oh man, I got a twofer, two birds, one stone. That's amazing.
where you say that if the universe has an explanation for its existence, then that explanation is a non-contingent object, where you probably just go with Occam's razor and just say
Yeah,
there could be steps between the uh, non-contingent object and
sure.
the universe, but Occam's razor just says, yeah, why have those steps?
Thank you for listening. If you found this helpful, please like and subscribe. Please also look at the show notes in order to find a link to our group so that you can join our next discussion. I look forward to chatting with you.